Thank you so much. September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and while it might be a tough topic, it's something that needs to be talked about. Our next guest is here to shed some light on the why and the how getting help for you or your loved ones. Board-certified family nurse practitioner Heidi Baker joins us now from P3 Medical Group. It's great having you.
Thank you for having me.
This is a tough subject. I mean, no one likes to talk about suicide, but frankly, that's like the stigma of mental health. No one really wants to talk about it, which is why it becomes such a big issue.
Exactly. People are embarrassed to talk about it, especially seniors. And senior suicide is growing at an alarming rate.
Really?
45,000 people, according to the CDC, die every year from suicide, which if you think about it, 50 states, that's about 1,000 people per state per year. That's a lot of people. It's the 10th leading cause of death in adults.
Wow. Suicide
is twice as likely to happen as homicide. We see all this stuff on the news and we think there's so many homicides, and there are, but twice as many suicides.
Wow.
It's something people are embarrassed to talk about, and they're embarrassed to bring up lots of times with their healthcare provider.
Of course. I think sometimes the fact that you mentioned that this affects the senior community, I think a lot of times when we think of suicide, you know, we think of all those teen movies we've seen and Romeo and Juliet and all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is, it can affect any age group.
Absolutely. And, you know, according to the statistics, men over 65, especially Caucasian men, and the highest risk in women is 45 to 54, which kind of scared me when I read that. I'm 44. Well, 45 to 54, I mean, that's fairly young women. But we do, you know, it's a big problem with the senior population because if you think about it, they've lived their life, they've accomplished a lot of their dreams and goals. But when they get towards the end of their life, sometimes they're dealing with terminal illness, the loss of a spouse, you know, financial crises, personal crises. So they think that's why we see a lot of suicide in seniors. And seniors are more likely to be successful when they commit suicide than younger people. They are more likely to use firearms. It's a more, you know, they don't make it through suicide attempts as well as younger people do.
So is there something that families and friends should be on the lookout for if we happen to like get a little bit of an inkling that something might not be right?
So there are warning signs. You know, they consider suicide to be 100% preventable. Warning signs can be depression, aggression, irritability, anxiety. Other behaviors that they see is people giving away their possessions, saying goodbye to people, misuse of alcohol or drugs. We've got them listed here.
Yeah, we have them all right there, of course. I mean, is there anything that we as adults can do to combat depression, for example? I know, and this affects, you're saying sometimes it's financial stuff. I know we hear time and again some of the numbers of people that just aren't ready for retirement, and then that time comes and like,
it is, and I think it scares all of us. We all feel like we've really got to push when we're younger to save enough for retirement. And, you know, none of us know how long we're going to live. So I think it's hard sometimes for people to know how much it's going to take. And if you live nicely in your earlier years and then in your retirement, you have to live, you know, not according to the means that you're used to. It can be a big stressor.
No doubt.
And cause unhappiness.
I mean, so the answer to depression isn't just take a happy pill and call it a day.
Right. That is an option. And of course, that's a lot of what we do. But depression, you know, just exercise and diet makes a big difference. Endorphins are a natural chemical that are released when we exercise. We all know we felt that sort of high when we exercise. So diet and exercise is a big one. You know, hopefully people will be talking to the healthcare provider.
Of course.
Because older people, a lot of times there's a stigma about talking about depression and unhappiness, that they don't want to bring it up.
They don't want to bring up any other problems. Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of a thing that they want to kind of just bury. Feelings weren't a thing in the 60s, it seems like.
Right,
and
exactly.
That's when they were growing up. But that's not the case. There are people and services that you can talk to be able to get it off your chest and be able to maybe get right on the right path. Let's talk about some of those services.
So of course, I work in primary care. P3 is a company that's fabulous that I've started working for. We have 5 clinics open, 9 to be open by the end of the year.
Wow.
And so hopefully primary care, you know, we deal with a lot of this because we are underserved as a community in the psychiatry world. So primary care is dealing with a lot of these issues. There's also a national suicide prevention hotline. I believe it's 1-800-273-TALK, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, of course, people can call 911. They can have the police come and do a check on especially elderly. That a lot of times people have to stay in their homes, and that's part of why they're not getting out as much. They don't have as many social contacts, especially if they lose a spouse.
They feel very isolated. Yeah.
Exactly. So the more we can keep them involved and the more they try to stay involved themselves, the better outcome that we'll have.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that we were able to talk about this
thank
with
you
you.
for having us.
And listen, don't face your troubles alone. If you know someone in crisis, or perhaps you find that yourself is in crisis, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. That information will be on our website at LasVegasMorningBlend.com. P3 Medical Group has many locations throughout the valley, including this one that we featured today. She's at Tenaya and Cheyenne. And for more on them, you can visit the website or call the number on your screen. P3 Medical Group is a proud sponsor of Las Vegas Morning Blend.